Sometimes I feel like I've already seen everything that's gonna happen, and it's a nightmare.
So what's the name of the movie?
Cherry. It's the Russo brothers film starring Tom Holland. So it's interesting to see him because he's mostly boyish character, young, flamboyant. He's in a more like controlled, rough, and like very adult role. And it's really interesting to see. So Cherry is just based on this memoir of a soldier who comes back from, the Middle East with crazy PTSD, gets into drug addiction, and, it's basically another kind of movie depicting the opioid crisis, and it should be so good, and I'm excited to watch this with you guys, and it just makes me so happy. Okay.
I'm 23 years old, and sometimes I wonder if life was wasted on me. I take all the beautiful things to heart, till I about die from it.
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing.
Hey, I'm really happy you're here.
Why is that?
Because I like you.
But there never seems to be enough time to do.
You're it for me.
I feel the same way.
Find them.
I joined the army.
Why would you do that?
Sometimes I feel like I've already seen everything that's gonna happen. And it's a nightmare. My one true accomplishment was not dying.
Back up!
I have this noise in my head.
It'll stop. One day it'll go quiet.
I don't imagine that anyone goes in for a robbery if they're not in some kind of desperation. I've been at this a while now, and it's no secret what my face looks like.
Get on the ground!
One thing about robbing banks is you're mostly robbing women, so the last thing you want to be is rude. Ma'am, it's nothing personal.
You're gonna make it through this. I love you.
Can you look back to when you met the one you loved the most and remember exactly how it was? What you saw in her that made you say, yes, this is what I came here for. Sometimes I feel like I've already seen everything that's gonna happen, and it's a nightmare.
That was so good.
That looks
Scott?
crazy. Oh my god. The music, they just hit. Oh my god, I'm so excited for that. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was gonna say the soundtrack for this is really good.
It was so good. For one, that opening shot with the dollar bill upside down and the flip it just shows the anxiousness, the nervousness, it's so beautiful. So much story, so much life, so much personality just in the trailer was brilliant. Also, it's kind of strange to see Spider-Man, rob a bank, but I think that's really good for, I guess, his versatility in a way, because he's going out through different roles, showing that he can play more than one character, which is seen here, and it's really good. It's really interesting, and I also think that the message of this movie is super important. Like, Beautiful Boy that came out in 2018. It was wonderful. It shows the crisis families go through during this opioid pandemic, and when these movies come out, it kind of pushes it there and forces you to go, hey, people are dying. There's stuff we can do to help. So does anybody else have anything to share?
No, I like how there were aspects of seriousness, but also some comedy. Those are always my favorite types, because, you know, a mix of both is always really good.
Mm-hmm.
I just really like how they took like a complete tone shift at the beginning of the trailer. It's like it goes from like a happy, like peaceful kind of like vibe to like he joins the military and everything gets like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think from like a cinematography standpoint, that one shot where like he's seeing the girl for like the first time, the lighting in that was just so beautiful, and like I'm so excited to see how they use like light and stuff in this movie. So I think it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, speaking of that, it was almost like a Halo kind of.
Yeah.
Very angelic, very sweet, and I'm trying to think of something that I've seen like another movie that's utilized that type of lighting and like camera framework, but I can't think of anything, so it might be a very like new thing. 2020 has been a wonderful year for film, terrible year in general, wonderful year for film, because it's done a new way of cinematography that I like to call as like life cinematography, because it does more single shots, less cuts, less crazy shaky cameras, less insinuating less action, and more you're just following these people around in their lives. If you guys have seen A Marriage Story on Netflix, it also is another thing that utilizes less cuts, and it definitely does make you feel more of a flow. The music is more quiet, other ambient noises are kind of amped up, because it gives the appearance of just life, you know, because you're not like walking around like this in life. That's not what's happening. You're just following things as they go. And I think that's a new cinematography thing that's come up that's just beautiful, and I can't wait to see it in an action movie other than 1917.
I really like the different camera work they use, like switching from first perspective to like a wide shot and then the fisheye view, and like it gives you all the emotions and like you can see what the character's going through, and I'm really excited to see that, especially in like an army movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the use of color, because we just had the newsletter of color and film, it was very much a darkish yellow tone, and I've also seen that tone in a movie called Extraction that's on Netflix. They're both kind of war zone type movies. I'm guessing Cherry's a war zone type movie, and I think the dark yellow tone really helps convey what they're trying to do with the characters, like who the character is, what they're going to go through, and how that's going to impact them just with the yellow tone. So I thought that was really cool.
I also feel like those yellow kind of undertones, especially, you kind of see them more in like, or at least more recently, I think, in like zombie pandemic type movies, because it explains some sort of sickness atmosphere, which I think is really interesting, you know, talking about opioid addiction, and like it's an illness that's like kind of surrounds you and then surrounds your entire worldview. So yeah, like you said, I think it was a genius way to utilize that color in that film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of color, I also noticed there are a lot of accents of red, like for example on the money, or just like Cherry, the title. It just really brings attention to certain things. It just stands out.
You can see like some classic movie things, adding on to what Natalie said, the rule of three, because like there should be 3 different like colors placed at least 3 times within a movie. It creates like a bunch of harmony, and also adding on to like that, you know, English teacher type thing, a lot of, you know, symbolism, and then also adding on to what you said about the halo effect. The halo effect is pretty classic, because I think I've only ever seen it in 13 Reasons Why. But like it's, you know, like the use of lighting, it's like this is a happy moment, and then it cuts straight to this is like a really intense moment.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a great expression of character as well. I don't know about you guys, I can't speak for everyone else, but I felt very connected to these characters. It was also, they showed, you know, violence, but they also showed reality and realistic human traits like sadness, fear, anger, like dependence, and it showed that in a really wonderful way. It also just made it easier to connect to somebody doing horrible crimes when they have some sort of redeeming qualities to it. And it's kind of like the anti-hero type thing. Like, everybody likes Deadpool. He's funny, you know? And I think that this movie expressed that in character with how he's robbing a bank, holding a woman at gunpoint. He refers to her as ma'am. Says, ma'am, this is not personal. I'm just robbing the bank peacefully. I think it is a wonderful expression of character that really hooks you. It's really relatable, and it makes you feel like you want to know what happens to him, which is exactly what a trailer should do. So I think this was wonderful. I think we could all go through and do a rating. 5 out of 5 movie cameras for me.
I think I'm gonna give this one probably like a 4.5. I think it was really strong. 4.5.
Yeah, like I think I want to say at least 5 out of 5 because of the use of lighting, the use of angles, like what Grace said, like with the wide shots and everything. And I think that to someone that just is just watching a movie for the sake of it, then like I think that for like someone that's just watching a movie, I think that they would rate this as 5 out of 5.
I would give it a 5 out of 5 as well, because I think that they portrayed emotion really well in it, and while I was watching it, I was getting chills, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And also, with a lot of other trailers, sometimes you watch them, and there's like 2 different things. At first, it could be that you already feel like you saw the whole movie after you watch it, and you're like, oh, well, I don't really feel like watching it anymore. Or if you watch it and you're confused, you don't really like get what it's about, and both of those things are just kind of a turn off. But this one, I feel like it was right, it was perfect, it really made me want to watch the movie.
I'd say 4.5 out of 5. It takes a lot to be 5 out of 5 in my books, and like part of the reason that it's not 5 out of 5, I like it, but I also didn't like that it only showed the relationship between him and that one girl. It got the isolation across what was going through his head, but it didn't give you like more of a backstory. And it could happen that's more in the movie, but I think the trailer should have maybe at least incorporated that a little bit if it's in the movie.
Yeah, I think I'm going to change my rating then, because I didn't really see it as linear. I still had like questions, because I'm like, did he join the army and then meet his girl and then start robbing banks, or meet his girl, join the army? Like, I had a bunch of questions left.
I'd probably still give it a 5 out of 5 because from again, just seeing the movie, like someone who doesn't really not really into film to sees the movie or the trailer, I think it's really impactful because of the soundtrack and even the part where you said he robs a bank, but the first thing he says is he refers to her as ma'am. That's something that you don't see ever in movies where they do something like that and are respectful. It really demonstrates character well, and I think I definitely want to see it after I saw that trailer.
I think I would probably give it 4.5, maybe 4.7 out of 5, because I think the one part that I definitely was a little bit confused on was just the timeline in general. Like Isha was talking about earlier, when did he join the army, when did he meet his girl, all that stuff. Otherwise though, the lighting, the camera work, the music, the characters, you could tell who they were just from this 2-minute trailer. And I think it was really, really well made. So yeah, 4.7 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree. And going back to what you said kind of about timeline being messed up, the Russo brothers have a habit of dropping trailers and wonking up the timeline on purpose, trying to mix you up, which works for crazy big superhero films, but I wasn't sure if they hit it on the mark with this one because this is a lot different than the things they've done for Marvel. But again, I am kind of interested to see what happens in this movie. Yeah, I think going back, the Russo brothers just have a habit of dropping weird trailers that it didn't work for this kind of genre in a way. But yeah, it was wonderful. Yay! It looks like we've dumped all of our brain mush onto a plate and we've organized it and it's a beautiful meal now. So I had a lot of fun with you guys. This is really fun, and if you want to do more things like this with trailers, or even we can maybe one day do short clips from different films, and I think doing kind of silly reactive analysis things would be great.
If you enjoyed this analysis, then join Film Board. and watch more movies. We're very inclusive here. We're a very fun group.
As you can tell by all of our wonderful, exuberant personalities. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun. For YouTube watchers, if you like things like this, let us know. I think this is super fun. And yeah, that's it. I'm still in such a good mood. I'm like glowing. All right, well, yeah, we can wrap it up then. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.